you by Baykes Cloud Consultant, which is my agency, my company, and also with the help of charity Gali ICT Center. This is an educational foundation which is headed by Professor Double Double, and according to him, says that nobody should learn computer on the blackboard, and so we are providing this free classes to help the youth in Ghana and across the globe to better their AI skills and digital marketing skills. And so that is it. Let's move on to the next slide. So, why is this so important? As I told you, uh, for the last couple of weeks, I've been receiving a lot of resumes from, potential candidates who want to work with me, and the resumes I get, even though you can see that these people have a lot of potential, the resumes don't look professional. Some people put, the names of their dogs and their hobbies and all that kind of stuff. These are not important to your employer. And also, if you have this kind of resume, you are not going to pass through the software because the software has certain things that it looks for. And if you are not meeting those criteria, your resume is not going to be seen. And so you'll be posting, applying for jobs, and nobody is going to see you. And so this is going to help you to be visible to potential employers. And so the future of job hunting is here, and the job search landscape has fundamentally transformed, right? With AI revolutionizing hiring processes and candidate success. 76% of companies now use AI in their hiring process. If the companies are using it, why don't you use it as well, right? You want to be competitive because everybody is using it. If you don't use it, you're going to left behind. And major job platforms like LinkedIn, Indeed, ZipRecruiter all have integrated sophisticated AI into their backend, right? And ChatGPT has helped thousands of job seekers land positions faster. I mean, I use it as well. I've used it in the past to, polish my resume and to write cover letters and also to get ideas about how to negotiate for a better salary. And traditional job hunting methods are now less effective. As I was saying, everybody is leveraging the power of AI. So if you don't do it, you're going to left behind. And so use AI to leverage your capabilities. Otherwise, it's going to be very tough for you. And this session will teach you how to use ChatGPT to compete and win in the 2026 job market. Sorry, you see 2025, but it's supposed to be 2026. Gonna fix that. So 76% of companies are using AI, and so you also must use that. And thousands of jobs um, have been have been landed using ChatGPT. And what ChatGPT can do for job hunters. The first one, as I said, resume or CV writing and editing. So if you have a CV or a resume which is not looking professional, you can give it to ChatGPT and then put in a command to fix it for you. You can also use it to write cover letters, right? Usually people have one cover letter and they use it across the board for different jobs. They look generic and they are not customized. And if you have to go through customizing every letter, that is going to be very tedious. And that is why a lot of people, if you don't have the time, this is going to be very laborious for you. And so ChatGPT can make it like, in a snap within like 20, 30 seconds, you're going to have cover letter for any position that you apply for. And this makes the hiring manager to know that you actually paid attention to the job post and responded with the right cover letter. And it's not like a generic looking cover letter that most people are going to do. So you separate yourself from the masses, and also you can use it. Number three, you can use it for job interview preparation, and some of the ways you can use it to do that is by asking the interview questions and what is potentially coming up in interviews, right? And we're gonna do some demo on that. Job search strategy is another way you can use ChatGPT to um, help you build a winning plan instead of spray and pray. And also career advice. You can get career advice from your AI tool. Now, I'm talking about ChatGPT, but it doesn't mean that ChatGPT is the only AI tool you can use. You can also use Claude, Anthropic Claude, or you can use Grok, or you can use other AI modules out there. But ChatGPT is like the pioneer that we all know, and that's why I'm using ChatGPT as our point of reference. And you can also learn new skills. Let's say you see a job that you are very interested in, and you have some gaps, right? Knowledge gaps. You can use the learning feature to really fill those gaps. If there's something that the job has some requirements or the tasks that you have to perform, if you are missing some if you have some gaps in there, you can use this to learn those new skills so that you prepare yourself for that interview. And as I said, number seven is negotiating for job offers, right? You maximize your compensation package, and you also build you can build your personal brand by using ChatGPT. And when I talk about personal brand, I'm talking about your professional portfolio. For instance, on your social media handles, on your LinkedIn, Facebook, wherever you do business, you want to have a professional looking profile, and that is what we call building your personal brand. And nowadays everybody is building their brand, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So yeah, if this is making sense to you, please let me know and tell me what you think. I want to see your feedback. I want to read something from you. So if this is making sense, please tell me this is making a lot of sense. I will move on to the next slide as I wait for your comments. Alrighty, alrighty. Let's see what people are writing in the chat. Let me know if this is making any sense to you. All right. So the first one we are going to discuss is the resume or CV writing. And yeah, I can see some people dropping in some nuggets. Teresa is saying this is making a lot of sense. That's great. Stephen, insightful with the love. That's great. Thank you. So the first thing I want to, shed light on is the resume or CV writing. Those in the UK or in Ghana will talk about CV. In America, we say resume, right? It's the same thing. You can use it to write or to edit an old resume. And what is the problem here? The problem is most resumes get rejected in just 6 seconds by applicant tracking systems. That is the ATS. So ATS is a software which is used by employers, HR companies, and a lot of hiring companies to filter candidates, right? Because they receive thousands of resumes, and if they have to go through each of them manually, that is going to be very tedious. Like some companies receive about 1,000 resumes in 2 hours. You can just imagine the number of resumes they receive a day. Now extrapolate that into 1 week, you get the whole idea, right? And so this resumes are being filtered by ATS systems. And if your resume doesn't meet the criteria that the employer has set, you will be dropped. And this is why you are probably not finding any job, even though you have the skills, right? And so pay attention here. Your impressive experience means nothing if the algorithm filter you out first. And so you might not even pass through the sieve, right? The filter will just reject you. So it doesn't matter whether you know the best in the world, just for the fact that you don't have a good resume, it's going to be, you're going to be filtered out. And so, how ChatGPT can help: it formats your resume to pass the ATS system with the right keywords. All right. For instance, if you're a software engineer, you want to be using the right keywords, like you know how to code, C sharp, HTML, you understand. You have to make sure that you have all these keywords that the ATS might be looking for. And so that is one. It rewrites bullet points to show measurable impact, not just duties. And so, like, most people will write a lot of gibberish, but ChatGPT can, give you bullet points and highlight the most important things for the employer to see, or for the ATS to pick them up. And it tailors your resume to the specific job description, right? For instance, I'm a software engineer, right? I've worked in the software space, but I'm a configuration analyst, right? Build and release. I'm also a cloud architect. I'm a DevOps engineer, and sometimes I'm even a security DevSecOps, like a security guy in the DevOps domain. And so when I see a job, I don't just take my generic resume and apply to that job, but I kind of tweak my resume to resonate with the job posting. So if they are looking for a DevSecOps guy or a DevOps guy with a strong security background, what I'm going to do is that I am going to reinforce my skills, right, on my resume on the security side with my DevOps experience. That way, I tailor the resume to that particular job. And so I can apply to 20 different jobs with slight modification of my resume. That is the whole point. You trying to kind of beat the system in a proper way, not an illegal way. So that is that. Let's move on to the next slide, and also highlight achievement with quantifiable results that matter. So ChatGPT is going to help you do that. And an example prompt will be, I'm applying for a DevOps engineer role. Here is my experience. And then you post your background, right? This is like a prompt that you can use, but I'm going to give you a better prompt. You rewrite this as 5 powerful bullet points that show measurable impact and include relevant keywords for ATS system. As I was saying, you want to make sure that the ATS system will be able to pick up all the required stuff that that particular job is looking for. And ChatGPT is very smart. When you post that job into it, it knows what the employer is looking for, and it's going to help you and customize your resume for that particular job. Let's move on. Let's see here. Okay. So the next one is cover letters and interview preparation. And what is a cover letter? A cover letter is just a personalized short letter about you, your background, why you want the job, and all that. So, a lot of people just have their resume, they don't have cover letters. I will make sure that I always add a cover letter. And even when the job doesn't ask, if you provide that, the hiring manager will know that you went an extra mile, right? To write to them what you can do, a little background about yourself, and all that kind of stuff. So it's very important that you have a good cover letter that complements your resume. And the problem here is generic cover letters get ignored. Personalized ones take hours to write. Okay. So the solution here is ChatGPT creates tailored cover letter for specific companies, matching your experience to the job requirements, using the company's language and values. And an example of that will be write a cover letter for like the job title. So if it's for, let's say, a meditation instructor, that is your job title at the company. So you know the name of the company, company ABC. The job requires key requirements. So you copy that job requirements and you paste it into that job requirement placeholder. This is this one. And then my relevant experience include, let's say, 10 years, your background and all that kind of stuff. That is, you put your resume in there and use an enthusiastic but professional tone and keep it under 250 words. Simple. It's going to do exactly that for you within seconds. I mean, we've played with prompts, you know how these things work. And so this will usually take you hours to come up with it and write it professionally, but you can knock this out within a few minutes. And also, you can use it for interview preparation. And here is the problem with interview preparation: you never know what questions they will ask, right? And practice makes perfect. So, what's the solution? The solution is that ChatGPT generates typical interview questions. So it kind of scans through the web for that particular position and the interview questions that have been, asked in the past. And it also creates possible questions that might come up for that particular job position or the requirements. And it helps you to, gives you mock interview questions. It helps craft star method answers and prepares you for behavioral questions, right? They don't just ask you about your technical skills. They also ask you about your personal skills, even about things about common sense, right? How do you solve problems? How do you interact with people? All these things, are part of the interview process. And so you want to train yourself, and you can even tell the AI to give you the right answer if your answer is not right. And so this is going to help you to, solve all these problems quickly. And the solution here is ChatGPT generates typical interview questions, conducts mock interviews, help craft star method answers, and prepares you for behavioral questions. I just repeated this because it's very important. It gives give me 10 common. So example, you can say, give me 10 common interview questions for a cloud architect, right? Or act as an interviewer for a leadership role. Remember when we did prompt engineering last week, we talked about the persona. And so we are using the persona here, right? Act as, help, do this, act like you are a software engineer, or act like you are an employer, the persona. Remember, you always have to give the specific instructions to your AI so that it can get you the right answers. Otherwise, if you don't give that persona, then it doesn't really know. It could act as another employer. I mean, as another employee asking you a question, or like a colleague asking you a question. So you always want to define your persona. And help me answer. Tell me about a time you failed, using star, right? So you get a point, right? So let's move on to the next one. And let's see. Um, all right. And the next one is job search strategy. This is another way of using ChatGPT to help you with your job search. And what is the problem with job search strategy? You are applying for hundreds of jobs with no strategy and getting nowhere. The spray and pray approach leads to burnout, frustration, and empty inboxes. Nobody's going to respond to you because you are not even getting past the first step, which is the ATS. You are not even getting past through that. So, how are you even going to get eyeballs on your resume? Right. And so, ChatGPT can help you. It transforms your job search from chaotic to strategic. It identifies the best job boards for your industry, creates networking outreach strategies, write follow-up messages to recruiters, and builds a daily action plan tailored to your schedule. And you just focus on your search. So you say, I'm a software developer looking for remote work. Where should I focus my job search? This prompt is very powerful. Now it's going to tell you what you have to do. And also, if you want to network, this is something that you can use. Write a LinkedIn message to reconnect with a former colleague about job opportunities. And so, if I'm looking for a job, right, if I'm in the job market, I can, contact my network and ask ChatGPT to help me write something professional, nice, and then I can send it to my contact or my network. And also, you can ask it to create a plan, create a 30-day job search action plan with daily tasks for 2 hours per day. Now, looking for a job is also a full-time job, right? It's not easy. Some people just go onto job platforms, they spend like 5 minutes and they are done for the day. If you do that, you're not going to find anything. Looking for a job is a full-time job. And so you want to have a systematic way of doing things. And I used to teach people how to update their resume every day or every 2 days so that their resume comes to the top. But things have changed now, right? And so you also want to make sure that you change the way you do things because now with AI technology improving, there's so many things that the old way of doing things doesn't work anymore. And so you have to adapt and change as things change, right? This can give you a plan to follow. It can give you in a spreadsheet or a Word document where you can follow every day what it tells you to do. And so that is the job search strategy. The next one is career advice and learning new skills. And so, career advice, what does it do? How can it help you? If you are stuck in your career or unsure what direction to take, ChatGPT analyzes your skills and interests and suggests career path, identifies transferable skills for career changes, and provides guidance on your next moves. For example, I have 5 years experience as a DevOps engineer, but I'm burnout. I enjoy mentoring and problem solving. What career path should I explore? I've used this before, right? I was burned out as a software engineer, traveling a lot. And so it get to a point, the money was good, but there was no happiness, right? I was always traveling, leaving my family behind, my twin boys. Some of you know how close I am with these boys, and so for me to be leaving Monday, returning Friday, what's the point, right? And so I kind of put in there, and I said that, look, this is my background. I know this, I know that, I know this, I know that. And so, can you recommend some stuff to me? And then I can look at it whether I like it or not. And based on this prompt, I was able to, I got an advice about being a life coach because I love teaching and I also love empowering people. I believe that, we all have to help each other to make more money, to make the world a better place. And so it kind of told me that you are a good fit for a life coach. But wasn't something that I wanted to do it because I still love my technical background, my software, my AI, and all that kind of stuff. But still, I still went ahead and took training in life coaching, and I love it, right? Because as I learn to be a life coach, at the same time, I'm also learning to make my life better. And I also have people who coach me. And so, career advice, this really helps to really change. If you want to change careers, this can give you some suggestions to do that. And also, learning new skills. The tech world changes fast, right? Every 3 to 6 months, something new is coming up. With AI, it happens within weeks, right? And so you always want to be um, learning and updating your skills. So every time you can use ChatGPT to do this. Now, most people use ChatGPT just like they use Google. No, you can use ChatGPT to do more, more things, advanced stuff. And so that is one of them, using it to learn. And you can learn complex topics. You can learn how to code. You can learn pretty much anything. And so, for example, I want to learn Kubernetes, which is, it's dealing with serverless architecture. I'm not going to go into that because that's beyond the scope of this training. But I have 30 minutes daily, create a 90-day learning plan with free resources. So let's say if you are learning how to, let's say, become a prompt engineer, you can use the same prompt, right? I want to learn prompt engineering, AI prompt engineering. I have 1 hour a day to do this. Can you create a 90-day or a 6-month plan with free resources? And it's going to give you that timetable with links to all the free resources that you ask for. So that is that. And then the other thing that I want us to talk about, which is very important, is negotiation and personal branding. Negotiation is talking about salary. Some people, they get a job, they are so happy. Whatever they tell them that they are going to give them, they are happy. But no, you can usually get more for it. And I'm going to give you a typical example about my case, right? So the first time I got a job with Western Union, and when I got the job was going to pay about, I think it was 65,000, which I had agreed with my employer. Now, this is what happened. Before I got a job, I got other offers, and some were offering to pay 120, some were offering to pay 150. But guess what? It was outside the state I wanted to work, right? I wanted to work in Washington, D.C., at Western Union headquarters, but the other jobs I got were in Chicago. I got Bank of America in Chicago and University of Schaumburg in Illinois. There were so many offers, right? The job offer in Chicago, in Illinois, Schaumburg was, I think, 150K, right? But I had to relocate to Illinois, which I didn't like. It's too cold over there. So this is what I did. I showed the offer letter to my employer at Western Union and said that, hey, I would love to work here, but your money is not good. It's 65,000. I'm getting twice as much, in Schaumburg, and I'm getting free education to do my masters and all that kind of stuff. So, based on this letter, I want you to meet me somewhere. And he wasn't happy about it, but at the end of the day, he met me and gave me 120. Right? So I was 30,000 short of the 150. But the good thing is that I got the chance to, stay in Virginia, so I can commute to DC, Washington, DC, instead of relocating all the way to Schaumburg, which is very cold. I didn't want to go there. And so you have to understand how to negotiate for a better pay. There are research that you can do that, and ChatGPT can help you. So most people leave 10K to 50K on the table, as I was saying, because they don't negotiate effectively. The first offer is really the final offer. They never tell you the right amount. So you always have to bargain. And I've done this on multiple occasions. You have to look at the benefit package. You have to look at this. You have to look at that. Are you getting health insurance from them? If you are not getting health insurance from them and you are getting it from, let's say, your spouse, your wife, or your husband, then they are not paying your health insurance for you. That money can come to you. So you have to know all these parameters, all these variables in order to get the right money. Because once you start a job, it's going to be maybe 1%, 2% increment every year, right? And so you always want to start big so that if after a couple of years they don't really give you that much, you are still up there. And so that is one of the things. How can chat gpt help, right? Researchers salary ranges for your role and location because every state is different. Every country is different. So it's going to help you know what they are truly paying for that particular job offer, and write professional negotiation script that you can learn to talk after the offer is given. Evaluate total compensation packages. This is what I was talking about. If you don't have, if you are not taking insurance from them, if you are not taking certain benefits from them, then those has to go into your pay, right? Prepares counter offer. So they tell you that we want to give you 50. You also want to counter offer with the right strategies. And an example is I received an offer for a senior DevOps engineer in Miami for 120K base price, 10% bonus, standard benefits, and standard benefits. Is this competitive? What should I negotiate? Right? So this is going to tell you what you have to say. All right. So enough of that. Let's go to personal branding. And this is also very important. And I encourage everybody, regardless of what you do, you need to build a personal brand, especially on LinkedIn, because that is a professional website. And this is where you talk about what you can do, what you've done in the past, the projects and things you are currently working on. And so here you blend in with hundreds of other candidates with similar skills. Your personal brand is your reputation before you enter the room. People have to see what you can do, what you are doing, and what you've done in the past, right? And how can ChatGPT help? Craft compelling LinkedIn headlines and summaries, create content ideas to showcase your expertise, write posts that position you as an expert, and develop your unique value proposition. And so, an example of getting a prompt to do that is write a LinkedIn headline for a DevOps engineer transitioning to life coaching. Make it intriguing and professional. That is the prompt that you can use, right? And so that is that. I hope you all understand so far what we've learned. And if this is really hitting home, please tell me. I want you to put interesting, very interesting in the chat so that I know that you are getting some value from this session. All right, so let's move on to the next slide. And this is demo time. So we are going to run on a couple of demos. I love demo, right? Because theory doesn't really help that much. And so we always have to get our hands dirty. And so let's pay attention here. We are going to dive into the demo ASAP. And let's get it rolling right now. So, yeah. So I've already put some stuff together in order not to waste time here. And as you can see, I already have a resume that I created. It's a fictitious resume. And the reason is that a lot of resumes I receive look like this one, right? They look like this one. They are not that good. Look at the name, Jake Thompson. Look at the email, cool dude 247 at hotmail.com. That is not a professional email for job searching or for your resume. Phone number, call me anytime. There's so many things wrong with this particular resume. I can put it in ChatGPT and ask it to analyze it, and it's going to tell me what is wrong with it. But I'm not going to do that. You get the point. I just created this fictitious, bad looking resume, and I get a lot of resumes like this. People who have finished university, people who are working and they still write this kind of resume. And so we are going to tell ChatGPT to make it better. If you have a resume, just put it in your ChatGPT and ask it to make it professional and ask some cool stuff to it. So this is what we are going to do. I'm going to copy this whole thing, this sample resume, and I am going to ask ChatGPT to make it better. References the only way. So this is the whole resume, right? I copy it, I go to ChatGPT, and then I'm going to use this command. Please, let's see, here. Please see the, please check what's wrong with my resume, and fix it to look professional. So this can pass through ATS systems for employers, for potential employers, employers to see my resume. So we are going to fix this resume. So I paste it here and then I hit enter. So let's see what we are going to get. Below is a clean, ATS-friendly, professional rewrite of your resume, followed by a brief explanation of what was wrong and why this version will perform better. So now, it gives a better email, right? Jake Thompson at email.com, or maybe at gmail or yahoo.com. The location, you put your address, your LinkedIn profile link, your GitHub. If you are, a developer, a software engineer, you will have a GitHub repo. And so that is that professional summary. Now, if you look at this resume here and you look at what is talking about, objective and all that kind of stuff. Now let's look at the polished version. Professional summary: software developer with 4 years plus experience building, maintaining, and I'm not going to read. Strong background in Python, JavaScript. These are all keywords that the ATS is looking for, right? Rational, relational databases, proven ability to collaborate with cross-functional teams. These are things that employers want to see. Technical skills, bullet points by highlighting your skills, right? Programming language, Python, JavaScript, web technologies, HTML, CSS3, React, databases, SQL, MongoDB. I can go on, and then professional experience, right? Software developer, tech up, the date, the year, developed and maintain, bullet points to highlight your skills. Junior developer. So it goes on and on and on, and then it talks about your projects. All this weren't in the previous thing, but it kind of picked all the things that you had in there and rearrange it and optimize it. Project, personal portfolio, React to do application. These are projects that this candidate has done before. Education, Bachelor of Science in Computers, blah, blah, blah. The GPA, certifications, currently pursuing relevant software development certification. I will list the kind of certification I'm working on, plus the date I am going to I'm expecting that, so that certification, if that job requirement requires you to have, let's say, AWS SysOps certification, then I will write currently pursuing AWS certification, right? SysOps certification expected March 2026. So they know that, oh, this job requires you to have a certification, but this guy is working on it. So by March, he's going to have it. And so that certification alone, the fact that you listed it there because it's on the job requirement, is going to allow the ATS to pick it up, right? And additional information, open to remote hybrid locations. What was wrong? Unprofessional language, ATS blockers, social media handles, jokes, quotes, salary demands, and preference cause ATS rejection. These are the things that ATS will block, right? Vague experience, did a lot of coding. It doesn't say much, right? What kind of coding? unclear dates. ATS requires consistent and confident employment timelines, right? Missing keywords. Recruiters and ATS look for technologies, tools, and results. So pay attention here. Personal notes, preferences about salary, weekends, and work life balance should never be on a resume. So your resume, I believe that if I should give my resume to ChatGPT again, it's still going to find some faults in there and make it even better. And why this version will pass ATS standard section, headers used by ATS systems, clear job titles and consistent date formatting, keyword rich technical skills and experience, professional tone aligned recruiters' expectation, and clean structure that passes correctly in all ATS software. ATS software is the number one gate that you have to, you have to pass that security. Otherwise, you are not going anywhere. So that is that. Now let's go and do some more hands-on. So now that we have a good resume, let's copy this resume and we're gonna use it for something else. So this is our new optimized resume, um, which is ATS optimized. Yeah, so I'll stop here. I'll copy this and I'm going to, let's say, post it somewhere here. We'll come back and use it. So the next one I want to work on is going to be, let me remove this guy here so that so the demo one, right, is the demo one. We want to do prompt for complete professional resume. That is what I just did, right? Act as a professional resume writer, even though I didn't go through that. It's the same thing. Act as a professional resume writer using the context I've provided above about Jake Thompson and create a complete professional ATS optimized resume. Always make sure you use these keywords ATS optimized resume for a software developer, the software engineer position, right? And key information. These are all the things. And for this prompt, I'm going to share in the description once I'm done with this presentation. But you get the point. You can just change it, and whatever your career is, you can just if you need technical skills, if you tell ChatGPT, this is what I do, this is my resume, I want it in this format, it's going to do that for you. So now you are an expert with prompts, so you know what to do, right? And the demo two is that we are going to use it for resume for a specific job prompt. Now let's go and see. Okay, I'm looking for a software development job in Miami. Software developer. Oh no, I would do DevOps engineer jobs in Miami. So I'm just going to go to any random job platform and then see what they have. So I go to see, Miami job for DevOps engineer. Let's see. I don't know why this is taking so long. Okay. Find jobs. Okay. All right. So I haven't seen any DevOps engineer role. All right. So yeah, I will say I want this job, right? Now I click on this job. It's loading. Um, it wants to add, it wants to get my information so that, but I don't want that because ZipRecruiter always wants to get your information so they can send you stuff. But I'm just looking for a job that is not really asking me to do anything of that sort. Let me see here. Maybe I should go to LinkedIn so I don't have to. Um, yeah. Okay. Let me try LinkedIn. DevOps engineer jobs. All right. Senior DevOps. So let's see. Let's assume I want this job. And so, yeah, this is more about this job. So, this is all about the job, right? And so, we are going to apply for this job. Now, we want to tweak our resume to make sure that, it speaks to this job requirements. And so, I go back to my prompt and say, as act as a resume optimization expert. I'm applying for a specific job. Tailor my resume to match this job description while keeping everything truthful. And so here we're going to paste the job and my current resume. But because I already have the current resume, ChatGPT just work on it. We are going to. So let me copy this, right? This one here, and then I bring it here. Use, and then I can say, you know, this is it, and I'm gonna paste the job. Let's close this guy, and then I'm going to take this job. Yeah, I copied the whole job, and then so this is it. This is the job requirements, right? So we are going to paste the job description here, and boom. Using the resume you just provided, because it knows. But if you have already worked on this resume, then you can paste it in there. But let's see. So now it's going to create a new resume for that. And I aligned your existing experience to DevOps language without inventing tools or years you do not have, while positioning you as a strong candidate for a hands-on DevOps environment. And so, same thing, it kind of changed it a little bit. Software engineer with 4 years plus experience supporting, building, maintaining, blah blah. It kind of tweaked your resume to match the job description. And this is what the ATS and employers love. You are providing a resume which is tailored for this particular job, right? So there's a slight variation between this and the previous resume, the original, or the, I call it the foundation resume. And this will be for job specific. So you always have your base, and then you have different resumes for different job requirement, and you have to keep records of this. Okay. And then the next one is going to be how to prepare a cover letter to match that. And so act as a professional cover letter writer, remembering your prompt, right? And the persona and the task and the context and all that. So here again, I'm going to say using the job description provided, so here the same thing. I copy this and I put it here, and then I'll paste it, and then I will say using the job requirement provided, and then hit enter. Now, this is also, yeah, dear hiring manager, I'm excited to apply for a senior DevOps engineer role and immediately drawn to this opportunity because it combines hands-on cloud infrastructure work with fast-paced collaborative environment. I thrive in settings where engineers blah 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 blah. This is customized specifically for this particular job. Now, I didn't specify the number of words it has to use, so you can tell it to write up to 300 words if you want, 500 words if you want. But this is like a detailed customized cover letter specifically for this particular position. Your next cover letter for the next job is going to be different. Okay. Let's move on to the next demo. The next one is going to be uh, prompt for interview questions. So here the same thing, act as an interviewer conducting full simulation interview. And also at the end, give me an overall assessment and actionable feedback. Also give me a feedback if my answer wasn't good enough with a better response. So here, it's the same thing. We want to get some interview questions. We are preparing ourselves for interview. So this is our command. As an interviewer conducting a full blah 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 blah. Right. And now this is going to ask me questions, interview questions, and then when I answer, it will tell me that this answer wasn't good enough. So let's see here. Let's see. I don't want to go, excuse me. Well, we will run this realistic interview simulation. I will ask one question at a time and wait for your response before continuing. After each answer, I will give brief feedback, a score out of 10, and then move to the next question. So question 1 out of 10, right? Tell me about yourself and walk me through your background as a software engineer. So I'm going to respond. This time I'm going to use the mic, right? Okay, so I'm going to tell it something. So focus on your experience, the kind of work you've done, what you are looking for, and blah blah. So let me just say something. I am a cloud architect with. Okay, the mic is not working. Okay, so now I think. Let's see here. I don't think I've set it up properly. Mic access to the enable. Okay, enable. Uh, you know what? I'm not going to do that. Okay, I am a software. I am a DevOps engineer with over 5 years because like Thompson, right? Thompson has 4 years experience, 5 years experience, and I have worked with a lot of big companies. I do everything. And I'm giving this answer because it's vague. This is not a good answer, right? So I want to hear the feedback from ChatGPT. So I hit it and it's going to tell me that, okay, thank you. I'll respond exactly as promised. Feedback on your answer. What was good? You confidently stated your role as a DevOps engineer. You reference experience length, which interviewers care about. But what needs improvement, right? Too vague, right? Worked with a lot of big companies and I do everything. Do not give the interviewer anything concrete to assess. No examples. Interviewers look for specific tools you've worked with, the environment you've worked with, in the outcomes and all that. Over claims saying I do everything. It's like you are a generalist, right? And so that is not good. No direction. You did not explain what you are looking for next. So this helps you. And score, it gave me only 2 out of 10, which is very, very bad. I should be around 9 or 10. So a stronger example. And now it's giving you an example. I'm a software engineer with strong DevOps focus and over 5 years of experience supporting cloud-based applications and development workflows. I've worked in fast-paced environment where I was responsible for containerizing applications with Docker, supporting Linux-based systems and collaborating closely with development teams to improve deployments, reliability, and system stability. Now you get it, right? So this will help you to sharpen your answers, right? You can use it. Now it's going to ask me the second question. So it can go on and on and on. If I want 50 questions, I can tell it to give me 50 questions. You get a point. Now let's move on to the next one. We're running out of time. Prompt for questions to the interviewer. Now, a lot of people go to interviews. Once they are finished with the interviews and they ask, do you have any questions? They don't ask any questions. It doesn't show your interest in the company. It doesn't show your interest in the job. You don't, you want to ask questions about how soon do I start? How this? What is this? Who am I going to work with? Stuff like that tells the employer you are interested in the company, you are passionate about the role and all that kind of stuff. So another prompt that we can use act as a career strategist, generate 15 smart questions. So now I'm going to give ChatGPT that those stuff, and then we'll ask it to go ahead. And now let's see what's going to happen. So questions, possible questions you can ask the interviewer. And when you ask sensible questions, intelligent questions, they know that this guy is good, right? And so, like roles and responsibilities, it kind of categorize the questions, right? And so you want to have maybe one each or two each. What does success look like for this role in the first 90 days? Like, yeah, what are they expecting from you in the next 90 days? What do they want from you? Which part of the system would I be most responsible for day to day? So if you are going to be a DevOps guy, it's not like you are going to do everything, because there are going to be other DevOps guys there. But what is going to be your major role, right? Maybe you are going to be deploying the software, or you are going to be releasing. Every release is going to be your responsibility. What are the most common challenges, right? The challenges over there, teams and culture. How does the team handle disagreements? How many people in the team, growth and development, what skills and capabilities would most like the person in this role develop over 12 months. So you ask intelligent questions that are, you know, gets the interviewer thinking, right? And so that is that. You always want to ask intelligent questions that tells the interviewer that you are interested in the company and also in their job role. And then the next one will be prompt for salary negotiation, and this is also very important here. So let's see. So act as a salary negotiation coach, and let's see what this can provide us. And so here we come back, and then we drop the prompt in there. As I said, I'm going to put all these prompts in the description of this video. So if you need it, you can copy it and tweak it. You can ask ChatGPT to tweak it for your particular profession or the position you are going for. And so now here is talking about, below is a practical battle tested salary negotiation playbook tailored to your situation. So your position and baseline target range is 82. Experience, software engineer, strategy. What are your salary expectation? So now it's asking me questions, right? If asked early, so this is where, based on my experience, the scope of this role, the market data for positions I'm targeting, a total compensation range is in the range 90 to 100K, right? That said, I am flexible and more interested in overall fit, team, and growth opportunity. This is what you are going to tell them, right? If asked very early, deflection strategy. If they ask you early, you deflect, right? I would love to understand the full scope of the role, because you don't know much about the role. So you want to go to the end before you talk about all these things. Sometimes you have to delay, because whoever asks that question first loses. That's what I was told, but it's not always true. But why this works: anchors high without sounding rigid, signal collaboration, not entitlement, keeps negotiation open until later dates. Red flags to watch, right? This is things that you don't have to do. Pressure to give a number before interview. This is a non-negotiable statement, clearly. Avoidance of total compensation details. You have to make sure that you understand the total compensation. You want to understand that so that you can negotiate better. What is your current salary? Best diplomatic deflection. I prefer to focus on the value. So if they ask you, what are you earning right now? Usually I won't even tell you. I prefer to focus on the value I bring to the role and was appropriate for the position, rather than anchoring on past compensation. When you talk like that, they know that you are an experienced guy in the game. And so you have to really be smart about that. The current compensation is within, okay, if disclosure is required, then my current compensation is within the upper of, so you're not going to give them the exact amount. So let's say if my salary is maybe around 160, I'm just going to give them maybe, my salary was within the range of 150 to 200, right? That I'm not giving them the bulk pack. So that means that I leave enough window, enough room to really go to the ceiling if I want to. And why this works prevents low anchoring, all the blah, 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 blah. We can only offer X amount. Is this acceptable? So if they tell you that, I appreciate the offer before deciding, could you review the full compensation package, including bonuses, growth path, performance reviews, etc. So this is things that it kind of guides you, just like a coach will guide you to go and negotiate for a salary. And let's move on to the last one, which is personal branding. And personal branding, as I explained earlier, is how you market yourself. And so, one of the places that you can market your profile yourself is LinkedIn. And I recommend that everybody creates a profile on LinkedIn. If you don't have one, go and do it right away. And I'm going to show you my LinkedIn profile. And as you can see, you can see my profile, and this is my personal branding. And what do I do? I help IT companies, right? MSPs, managed service providers, or IT solution providers. And this is like, my headline: get 30 to 40 pre-qualified leads monthly, no tie kickers, right? Predictable 10 plus new clients every month at 30% close rate. Scale from 2 million to 10 million with consistent pipeline. And I'm talking about leads, customers. Every company needs customers. Now look at, I use ChatGPT to design my headline. I help, and I give the information, and I say, just generate, a headline for me with a description and what I do, right? And it kind of did this for me. So if I go here, you can see, I just came here and copied everything that it gave me. So the headline, it gave me a headline. I put it in the headline, my position, and everything that. So that's the headline, and that's what you can see. And then about me, and so I can give ChatGPT everything about me, and it's going to write everything about my offer, my company, what I do, and all that kind of stuff. Easy. So this is how you build your personal brand. And if you want to know how to do that, you can always look at my profile and as an example, and I just dropped it in the chat. You can click on it and look at it. Use my profile as an example to build your profile. So let's say if you are a programmer, or you are a content creator, or let's say you are, let me think of something. Um, if you are a web developer, or let's say if you are somebody who provides care to the elderly, or you are somebody who provides counseling, or you are a life coach, you can just look at this, my profile, and then tweak it using your background. And as you know, just concentrate on the prompts, and this is really going to help you to design or build a proper career profile, which is your personal branding. And so this is very important. People see this, they see that you are a professional, your brand looks solid, and that is how you want to market yourself. So this is it. All the demo that we had to do today. That is it. I'm done with the demo. And then what else is next? Let's go back to our slideshow and let's continue and wrap this up quickly. And so your action plan now is, what have you learned today? You create ATS friendly resume that gets interviews, right? So now if you are somebody in the job market who cannot find, a job, It's one of these reasons that you cannot find a job, or you are not getting calls, you are not getting interviews because your resume sucks. All right. So create ATS friendly resumes that get interviews. Write personalized cover letters in minutes. Prepare for interviews with confidence. Build strategic job search plans. Get on demand career advice on the fly. Learn new skills efficiently. The gaps that you have, as against the job requirement. If there are certain things or technologies or some tools in there you don't know, just use ChatGPT to learn. Negotiate offers confidently. Build a standout personal brand. And the action you have to take today and tomorrow is to download. I'm going to have this prompt in my description, and also update your resume today. Whatever resume you have, go and update that, and build your personal brand. Practice one mock interview questions if you are in the job market, looking for a new role, and optimize your LinkedIn profile by this weekend. That should be something that you have to do. This is a non-negotiable. I'm just kidding, but you get the point. You want to have a professional looking profile or personal brand. And remember, AI is a tool, not a replacement. Always personalize, review, and add your authentic voice to everything ChatGPT creates for you, right? And that is why your prompt has to be, powerful. And also, when you don't like the answer, you tweak it a little bit. And so, if you have any questions, please drop them not in the chat, but in the comment section below. We will be answering all the questions that you have. And also, if you are not a subscriber to this channel, please subscribe to the channel, and also share this with your network. Come back and get the prompts and rewatch this video, and subscribe to the channel. Like it, please. Comment not in the comment section, but not in the chat session, but in the comment section under the video. This helps us to be seen. That it helps the algorithm to let them know what we are doing. And yeah, this is it. And if you have any questions, I said, drop them in the um, comment section, and I'll respond to them. I do them every day, and so I answer your questions directly. And I hope this was valuable to you. And I apologize, I went over 15 minutes, and this was really loaded with a lot of demos. So thank you for sticking with me. And I hope this was useful to you. And please come back again next week. I have a surprise for you. We are going to do something even more powerful as we move along. We are getting our hands more, it's getting dirtier, and we are learning more. I want to move on to maybe using Chat GPT to generate images, videos, and what have you. But I would decide. I always want it to be a surprise, and so we are building on each skill. So, with all that said, thank you very much again for sticking around till the end, and I hope to see you next week. Without further ado, um, namaste. All right, bye. To be continued.